the name on everyone's lips when it comes to centre forward, then if they're going to sell Darwin Núñez, is Alex Isak of Newcastle. You've written something today, actually, it went live about, an hour ago at time recording the show. Alexander Isak, Liverpool transfer, next step clear as fee and wages. Positions are explained. The Echo takes a closer look at Liverpool's stance over the Newcastle United striker Alexander Isak. Go and check it out on the Echo website. You'll be able to read it all in full. But give me a Cliff Notes version then. What is Liverpool's stance over Alexander Isak? Because this feels like, is there no smoke without fire? Because his name is everywhere and every report is something different. But then it might just be one of these names. Liverpool had loads of these where there was actually nothing there, which was a really good player who everyone would quite have liked to sign. Yeah. So where are we at with this? What is the stance?
So, you look at the money Liverpool have spent this month alone, that's already made this window the most expensive outlay ever. Frimpong, Wirtz and Kirkes. And then if you want to, quibble over the semantics, Mamardashvili. So depending on how you want to slice it up, they've spent somewhere between 180 million and 210 million or something. So it's a historic window already. So I think at the moment Liverpool are very much relaxed over the situation. They are taking a bit of a watching brief, focusing on outgoings like Darwin Núñez, like we say, and looking to see what they can raise there. And then I think they'll assess it once all that's sorted, once they've sort of rearranged the deck chairs and see what they can do. I've not absolutely no doubt that they do like Alexander Isak. They are interested in him. There is talk over Newcastle looking to tie him down to a new contract. Now, the fees around that, according to Martin Hardy of the Times, who is massively connected in the North East, I think he wrote last week that he earns around about £130,000 a week. And they're looking to make him sort of in line with the top earners of Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali and Anthony Gordon at 150. That's fair enough. You think of the season that he's just had, he deserves to be in that same bracket at Newcastle. But that's not a fee or a wage that would make Liverpool turn away. No, that's very much achievable. Liverpool would be able to increase that if they did make the move. I think the issue would be Newcastle not massively, certainly reluctant to sell, but not massively under the cosh either in terms of PSR issues, which was the case last year massively. Now it's a bit of a different kettle of fish now with the Champions League money that's come in. But at the moment, they're struggling to get deals over the line themselves, aren't they? They're after João Pedro of Brighton, they're after Anthony Elanga and James Trafford. And, I think Lee Ryder of the Chronicle was reporting today that Newcastle are now in advanced talks for João Pedro, which is some progress being made there, but they haven't made much headway on Elanga or Trafford. So, does selling Isak make long-term sense for them? The supporters would obviously say no, absolutely not. He's our best player and so on. But is this a bit of a Coutinho-style step backwards to take two steps forwards? Would they be able to reinvest the money that they get from Isak and bring in the players who they want and then maybe a couple of others on top of that? So there's a lot of moving parts here at the moment, and I think Liverpool are a bit relaxed. They're not going to target a number 9 purely for the sake of it. If they do sell Núñez, I think they will be relaxed about it, and anyone who they do look to bring in to lead the line will be, a plan A rather than looking to move on to plan B or C just because, for instance, if Newcastle do get their way and don't sell Isak. So, yeah, I think Liverpool are very much relaxed now, seeing what develops, seeing how the market develops. Dominoes might fall in place here or there. And if there is any encouragement that they can do a deal with Newcastle, I'm sure that they will look to see what can be done.
Absolutely, sure. That's kind of a watching brief as Liverpool stands at the moment. I want to bring up, you mentioned there, Martin Hardy's report, just this little line from it, which, again, I might be wrong here, but usually when people write stuff like this in articles, it comes from somewhere. There isn't a throwaway line. He says, Liverpool have the funds to test Newcastle's resolve despite the acquisition of Florian Wirtz for a British record fee that could rise to £160 million. And a summer outlay that has reached around 200 million, like we said before. Newcastle are concerned that an offer could be made early next month for Isak, who has scored 62 goals in 3 seasons since his move from Real Sociedad. So that Newcastle is concerned an offer could be made. I'm just trying to get my head around that. Is that basically he kicks off because he wants more money? Because I know Chris made this point on our podcast the other day, and I'm loath to give Chris too much credit for interesting points, but he was spot on. If you're Alexander Isak's agent and you're telling me he's worth 150 million quid, then therefore he is worth more than 130, 140, 150 grand a week. Yeah. If someone's a 150 million pound player, they're probably a 300,000 pound a week or whatever type of money, you know what I mean? Liverpool have apparently paid Florian Wirtz upwards of 200 grand a week, for example. Yeah. Is that what maybe Liverpool need here? They need Alex Isak to kick off a little bit and go, maybe if you can't afford me and I'm that much money, then I'm not going to sign a new contract. So can I go now? Or it's going to be a bit messy. Is that kind of where we might be leading?
Yeah, I think that's a fair reading of the situation. Would Isak agitate for a move? I'm not really sure of the character of the player. It doesn't really happen too much nowadays, does it? Players really kicking up a fuss for a move. I remember Van Dijk did it with Southampton, didn't he, in the summer of 2017, and they still held on to him. But like I say, how much of how far would he have to go before Newcastle sort of reluctantly agree and do look to do business? But you're right in highlighting Martin's line there about Newcastle being concerned that a bid could be forthcoming next month, because if that comes in, that would normally suggest the player has spoken to the relevant people and has made it clear that he would jump at the chance to move to Liverpool. So, he would be moving to a club who have more than designs on just qualifying for the Champions League. This is a club who want to win it. Certainly sort of improving on winning the Premier League as well, and came within a whisker of a quarter-final appearance last season and were beaten on penalties by the team who eventually go and win it. So, yeah, Liverpool would be able to offer more in a sporting sense and offer more in a financial sense as well. It's just a case of how far, are Newcastle prepared to keep hold of their star man? If he agitates to move and a bid comes in, do they reluctantly agree and then they can use that fee elsewhere, or do they sort of fight tooth and nail and try and keep hold of them as best they can, whilst still being under this sort of PSR? Not necessarily the kind of issues they had last season, but it's always been a thing for Newcastle, hasn't it, since it came in, because of the money they've spent since the Saudi Public Investment Fund were their owners. So, yeah, I think that's where I think Liverpool's sort of relaxed nature comes in, because they know that, they might be able to hold Newcastle's feet to the fire if any encouragement is given. That's
my next point, is that if anything Liverpool can do it, that's what I'll say. Is like, it's all well and good. My guess is like we went through back channels, whatever, everyone will know each other's feelings and stances and stuff like that, because the general, just put a bid in and see what you can get is the general. Sometimes you get when we talk these things online or something, go and test what they want to do and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I suppose if you're Alexander Isak and his agent and you're going to Newcastle and doing these talks, knowing that Liverpool and Arsenal or Barcelona or whoever wants you, that helps you out there. They value my guy at this, that kind of stuff. I'm just thinking from a Liverpool point of view, if they are desperate to get Alexander Isak, because they should be, I think, but like it doesn't appear like from everything that we're hearing that they're like all guns blazing. It's kind of like we're just kind of taking a back seat and we're just letting this one play out, and then we're there, we're there to jump in if and when an opportunity arises.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, particularly now with the focus on the outgoings, raising money for a potential spend, a further spend. Nunes. If Liverpool, we expect Jarell Quansah to go once the Euros are complete, so that move should go through next week. And then your attention turns towards Nunes and you get 65 million for him. You're getting between 100 and 110 million for those two deals there anyway. So
there's a big Harvey Elliott pot of money potentially on its way.
Yeah, and well. Anyone else, sort of further down the pecking order, deals that might not necessarily be something that you're thinking about, but if, so I think, for example,
Costas,
Chiesa's another one, certainly. But I was even thinking someone like Owen Beck, for example. He's just come off a really good loan move there at Blackburn, hasn't he? We could move, for example, Tyler Morton could bring in 10, 12 million, whatever it may be. So all of these sorts of outgoings eventually add up, and that essentially could drive the pursuit of an Isak later in the window. So that's where Liverpool's relaxed stance comes from at the moment. They certainly know that to be able to offer more in a sort of financial sense and a sporting sense for Isak. Does he kick up a fuss? Does he want to leave? He's certainly idolised up there, isn't he? And that is a good position to be in when you're Newcastle's number 9, because we know that they love their big strikers up there, don't they? But, you'll be able to win more at Liverpool than he would at Newcastle and be able to earn more as well. So, yeah, let's wait and see.
I suppose, yeah, we kind of clarified the Liverpool stance. There's two more things. Yeah, I always think if there was absolutely nothing in it, my guess is, mate, and feel free to correct me wrong again, someone would have told there's nothing in this. I know you guys in the past have reported, like, that's not, rumours have come out and maybe you've asked the questions or whatever, and it's actually, no, there's nothing in that. You can report that isn't true. There's been loads of names where that's been the case. And also from the player side, and listen, again, I go back to it, it's benefit to him to have all these clubs wanting him if he is negotiating a new contract. But he could very easily end all this today, if he really wanted to, by going, I'm staying. Like, don't worry about it. So it feels like, and again, my question is, like, when there's no denial from any parties involved in this, there isn't a definite, like, Newcastle have said he is not for sale. I think the report was he don't want to lose him.
Yeah.
That's what their line's been. Liverpool's line's been, if he's available, we'll have him. There's nothing really coming from the Isak camp. No nose coming from anywhere. It makes me think there might be something in this.
Yeah, that's what I mean in terms of Liverpool being relaxed. You know, I think what I was mentioning there doesn't necessarily mean they're going to target a number 9 just because Darwin Núñez has been sold. Ditto for Jarell Quansah. You can have your opinions on that, and I certainly do. But that is where Liverpool are at the moment. I think they're in a position now where they're just thinking plan A's all the way. Milos Kerkez was number 1. Florian Wirtz, didn't necessarily think they were going to get him, but they went for him and they've got him. And Jeremy Frimpong was a sort of little bit of a pivot once it became clear that Trent was going to leave. So Liverpool have got who they wanted through the door so far, and I don't think they're going to be in a mood to sort of entertain players who aren't number 1 on their short list of arrivals, and I'm pretty sure Isak would top the list of number 9. So it's still only early in the transfer window, still over 2 months to go. I guess it's just a case of waiting and seeing now, and they're in a really good position, I think, in terms of what they can offer, both from a financial and a sporting project, if you like.